Hello, Stampers. My name is Linda Bedinger, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini, who's mostly interested in my earrings today. Thanks so much for stopping by. I have a great card for you today, and Puccini's here to help, of course. And I am using one of the stamp and die sets, the bundle, out of the new catalog, and it is called the Symbols of Fortune, and it's got beautiful, beautiful paper and stamps and dies, and it is oriental in feel. It has ginkgo leaves, and it looks like chrysanthemums, and all kinds, and a beautiful, beautiful crane. And so I've got a card for you today, and so it's actually a birthday card. So let's just get started. Here is my card, and I don't know if you can see it, but this paper has beautiful gold foiling on it, and I've used some of the pattern vellum that we have in the new catalog, and then I went back to the evening evergreen vellum that we have. And so my card sentiment says, sending 1,000 well wishes on your special day. And on the inside, I have a happy birthday and a few more of these ginkgo leaves. So this piece, and I've changed it a little bit. I want to try a couple of different things. Let me tell you what it takes to make this. So I'm starting with a basic white card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have two pieces of Smokey Slate. The first one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so that will fit on the front of my card with just a very small white border around the edge. Then I have a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. Then also for the inside, I have a 3 3/4 by 5 piece, which will make the inside piece, and then we have the decorations. So then we need, I have several pieces of this beautiful designer series paper, and I probably should share a little bit of that with you. It's gold foiled, and it has, this one has ginkgo leaves, and this one has, I don't know what those are, but I love them, and gold. And there's also a beautiful piece of paper here with this crane image on it. Isn't that gorgeous? And then there's other pieces, and the other side has got colors on it. And I have used only this side here. I used a piece of this on this card, and I used a piece of this one. And I'm going to change that up this time. So I am using a couple pieces of designer series paper. The first piece, and I switched to this pretty white to go on the front of my card. And so this piece is 1 1/2 by 4 1/8, or pardon me, 5 3/8, because I want it to go the entire length of the card. And on this one, I only backed it in this evening evergreen vellum on one side, and I decided that I really want that completely backed or matted on a piece of evening evergreen. So that is going to go here. So this piece is 1 3/4 by 5 3/8, because that's going to go again from the top to the bottom, and you're going to see the matting on either side. Then I have another piece of designer series paper. I went back to this one I used on here that's got all this pretty gold foiling, and this one is 2 1/4 by 4. So I have a piece of the evening evergreen to back that is 2.5 by 4.25. And that is going to go right here on the card. Then you need, I put a piece of this other beautiful paper that we have this time. It's a pattern vellum, and it comes in dark and light patterns. So for instance, this is this writing, and let me put a piece behind it so you can see it a little bit better. The writing, and the writing is in white, and then it's got a companion paper that where the writing is in smoky slate, or it looks to me like basic gray, but I think it is basic gray. And there's several patterns, and they repeat. So you have it in the dark, in the basic gray, and then you have it in the lighter pattern, or the white. And there's several of them. And so what I've chosen to do on this is kind of put this one cattywampus, and I chose to use the lighter paper on that one, and that piece is 3 inches by 3 inches. And I thought on this one I might try the darker paper, or with the contrasting darker look to it, and I made it a tiny bit smaller. I made it 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 square. Okay, then in addition to those pieces, you need a piece of smoky slate that's big enough to stamp the crane and die cut it out. And I have a piece here to stamp my sentiment. And then I used our rectangular postage stamp kind of punch here because it was a little bit easier to use the punch. And I kind of like the scallops. It adds a little bit of interest and kind of matches these leaves. So you need a pretty good sized piece of scrap of the vellum to cut out the leaves, to cut out the matting for the sentiment. And then on the inside, I have cut out a couple more of those ginkgo leaves. And then I also have a scrap piece of that designer series paper where I'm cutting out one of those little ginkgo leaves here. Then I have one more piece of the dark vellum, and this is 1 inch by 2.5 inches, and that's what's going here, and then my ginkgo leaves lay on it. So there's quite a few little pieces, and as always, I will have all the measurements down below, and then I will also have them posted on my blog. I'm just still catching up with some of that. So I cut a piece of the white vellum like I did on this one, and then I cut a piece of the dark, and we'll see which one we like better. All right, so let's just get started here. Since there's no ribbon to wrap around or anything else, I can go ahead and set my piece of smoky slate on the front of my card. And so I'm just going to add some seal on the front of my card and put my smoky slate with a tiny little margin kind of all the way around the front of my card. All right, now we can do these pieces, and I changed this because this was so close to this that you didn't see the contrasting pattern. So I thought, well, then go for a really contrasting pattern. So I'm going to add some seal to the back of this piece and get it put down on my evening evergreen vellum. And I'm going to set that down on this so I have a similar margin on either side. And there we go. And let's see if I need to trim anything. Nope, I don't. It's exactly right. And because there's so much pattern on this, and I can add all the glue I want because this piece of designer series paper is going over the top of this. So I'm just adding my my adhesive here, and then I'm going to set this very close to the edge so that I have just a small margin on this side for my designer series paper and my vellum there. Then I need to mat this piece and this piece. And see, I think the contrast is so much more clear on this by using one with more white rather than something that's too close to this pattern. I think in the end that will look great. By the way, the back side of this paper has these beautiful chrysanthemums which can be cut out with the die that is provided in the bundle. So let me just get a little bit of adhesive on that and center that piece on my evening evergreen vellum. And then this piece, I also just added adhesive and made this one lie flat on this card. And I set this so that it came overlapped this piece just a little bit, and I'm going to take it down a little bit further to the right. I want roughly the same amount of margin top and bottom, so that's centered, and then I've got just a slim margin here on this side. And even that is just so pretty all by itself. All right, let me show you the stamp and die set so you know exactly what it was I was working with. So this is the stamp set, Crane of Fortune, and this is the crane that I used, and I used Sending 1,000 Well Wishes on Your Special Day, and let's see, I think that is all I used from the stamp set. And on the dies, I used the crane, I used this small ginkgo for the inside, and I used this long bit of ginkgo leaves here. And I've got my ginkgo leaves already cut out, and this is where we're going to see on this one. I just set this here so that it would be at an angle, and I just wondered if it wouldn't be better to use this one where you could see the writing a little bit more clearly. Now, I suppose I could have backed this, but in order to make that really show, you almost have to back it on basic gray, which is a little bit darker. And I thought I didn't want to really introduce yet another color to this. So I'm going to go ahead and try this one and put this piece on here. And I'm not putting it in a clear centered diamond. I'm sort of offsetting it. But because the crane is going to go on there, the ginkgo leaves are going to go on there, and so is the sentiment, I think you can really put adhesive on the back of this. Plus, this vellum has a pattern, so you really don't see the adhesive on this. So I'm going to just set this down so that it's kind of right in here and just offset like that, and go ahead and put that down. And I don't really see the glue at all. I'll bring that up so you can see it. I think it's pretty safe to put glue on the back of that, and this is just my regular Stampin' Seal. Okay, and I think it's going to be more interesting that way. Now, this piece of paper then gets set with this piece of paper for the inside, so we're going to go ahead and put that together, get that matted. I know it seems like a lot of pieces, but I love the layered look on this particular card. There we go. So now I have my little piece that matches this one that I'm going to set right down here. And once again, I don't think we have to worry, but I'm going to put just one little bead of adhesive right down the center. And where I put this on this card is not centered, more towards the bottom. And then, as is my practice, I've already cut out my ginkgo leaves, and I have cut out my other little ginkgo leaves here. I've cut 2 out of the evening evergreen and 1 out of this paper, so I've got a little of that gold relief that we can get on the inside. And the way I did that was to add some adhesive to the back of my cards. I'm going to use my dot runner for this. And I set one of these kind of coming off the top, and then I put the gold one more in the center. And I'm trying to think, did I change the orientation? I did just a little. On this one, I have another of the evening evergreen. I love this vellum paper. It's just so pretty. And right there. Now, I did put on this one a happy birthday, but your special day could be anything. It could be your wedding, it could be your anniversary, it could be your promotion, it could be your retirement, it could be anything. I used birthday because I need a few birthday cards. And my favorite right now stamp for birthday is the one from Pansy Petals, and it's a simple happy birthday, simple script. So I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping while I'm at it here. And you'll see on the card, I didn't bother to try and put this down straight. I just went ahead, let me make sure I'm doing this in the right one. Yes, basic gray. No, that's not what I intended to do. I was going to do this in evening evergreen. So I'm going to clean this off, and I'm going to re-ink that in evening evergreen. The only thing I really use the basic gray for, and we'll do it here in a second, is to stamp the crane. For the words and the messages, I use the evening evergreen. So let me clean this stamp off so I get all of that gray off of there, and put this in the evening evergreen. And I'm going to stamp that right up here in the corner. And like I said, this could be whatever sentiment you want in the inside. And often I leave these blank and then only add the sentiment when I'm really ready to send it and I know exactly what I want it to say. All right, we have one more bit of stamping to do, and we might as well do it as long as we're stamping. So I have my little piece of scrap here for my wishing you, what does it say exactly? Sending 1,000 well wishes on your special day. And so I will ink this up in the evening evergreen. And I'm going to put that right in here. Get that set down exactly the way I want it. And then I've got my postage stamp punch here. And I'm going to set this up here so it's nice and straight. And I think that is exactly right. So there we go. Now we've got that piece, and we have a little piece of evening evergreen to set that on. And so I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on the back of that and get the sentiment all ready to go. And we'll stamp the crane here and show you how easy it is. It's these dies cut beautifully. The stamping is pretty easy. Got lots of shading to it. So if I just center that on there and get that put in place, that's all ready to go on the front of my card. So the other bit of stamping that we need to do, and I'm going to put my evening evergreen away. So I did this and the inside in the evening evergreen. Now, I did use basic gray. I did try stamping the crane in Smoky Slate, but it was just too light. So I have my crane here mounted, and because it's a big stamp, I'm going to bring the ink to the stamp. This is red rubber, so no need for an extra cushion. And you can see it's one of those distinctives. It's got the dark and the light right there where you can see it. And just a piece of paper big enough to get my crane stamped here. And there we go. And then I went ahead and did my die cut. And to save time, I've already done that. Now, the only other thing I did was I took a sponge dauber here. Let's see, where is it? Right here. And put some of this basic gray on it. And I thought it looked a little bit better if it didn't have lighter edges but had darker edges. It made it a little bit more defined. So I went ahead and sponged all around my crane. So I'm going to put that ink away, and that is all of the stamping. Now we are ready to finally put this together. So here we've got the front of our card all ready to go with the vellum. And now I've got this beautiful set of Ginkgo leaves here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of dot runner on the back of that vellum to put those in place. Oh, there comes Puccini, and he's probably after my earrings again. Okay, he might have to be banned from the table here. Let's see if he goes away. And there are my Ginkgo leaves, and I think I want them just a little bit higher. There. Okay, because this sentiment is pretty good size to go down here on the bottom. Now I've got my crane, and I've got some dimensionals. I was stamping the other day, and somebody said, you know, talking about Puccini in the craft room, and one woman said she has cats, I think it was Crafting Lady, but she loved them, but she didn't want them on her crafting table. And I will tell you that the other day Puccini turned up with Poppy Parade highlights. He got into a dauber, and he had Poppy Parade everywhere. Okay, so here we go. I've got my crane. There you go. And I'm going to set the crane. Whoops. He's adjusting my camera for me. I think we're going to have to move him away. All right. So let's see. I'm going to put my crane right in here so that his beak is coming out over the Ginkgo leaves, and his back feathers are on this piece here towards the top, and that's raised so that when I put my sentiment on, that also needs to be raised. So because it's going to go over the crane, and we want those at the same height, or this will look very odd. Okay, so there we go. I just love this paper and this set. It is just so beautiful. And so there I've got my Sending 1,000 Wishes. And on that one, I centered it more. And I was thinking on this one, I kind of liked it. I don't know. I like it a little bit better on this side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in place. Straight would be good. There we go. So that is the front of my card just about done, and I do think I like this paper better because I can see it. And on this one, unless I put something dark behind it, I just don't see it as well. All right, now we have our inside piece that we have all ready to go here, and we will be finished with this project. So while it looks complicated and there are a lot of pieces, it really does go together relatively quickly. There's definitely some die cutting and some stamping. Put that in place, and there we go. Now, what I did, because of the gold accents, I did use some of our champagne rhinestones because I thought it complemented the gold. And I hadn't ever thought about gray and gold together, but it really is very attractive. So I'm going to dot a few of these rhinestones around on the card. That is my project for the day. You'll have to tell me what you think about the differences, but I do like the changes that I made. I like that I can see the writing on this paper. Otherwise, why use a pattern vellum at all? You could really just do plain vellum. And I like the layered look of this, and I love that I can see the contrast, and these don't look like the same kinds of paper. So, and if you look at this, the amount of designer series paper you're actually using to make this card is very minimal. So if you chose to make several of these cards, it would be pretty darn easy to do, and you're not using a tremendous amount of the DSP with each individual card. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. We have a special offer going on in Stampin' Up! Right now that is the regular $125 worth of product for $99, but during celebration from all the way through January and all the way through February, you will be picking out 2 additional stamp sets. So that's a pretty good bargain for your $99 starter set. And let's see, my prize draw for January, $60 shopping spree on me. And you can put yourself in the drawing by placing an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. So there we go. That's my project, and Puccini has left the premises. So again, thanks for stopping by, and I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.